Hey everyone, my name is Lucas. I'm 27 years old, and I'm from Brazil. But just a few months ago, I couldn't speak a single complete sentence in English. Not even, "How are you?" without overthinking every word. I was completely lost. Today, I want to share how I learned English in only 5 months, without expensive classes, without traveling to an English-speaking country, and without wasting time on methods that don't work. But this story isn't only about me. It's about you. Because if you've ever felt stuck, frustrated, or embarrassed by your English, I was exactly where you are. If you stay with me until the end, you'll know exactly how to start improving your English from today. So let's rewind to where it all began. Because my journey didn't start with motivation. It started with failure, a painful one that completely changed my life. The moment that changed everything. Ever since I was a teenager, I dreamed of working for an international tech company. My goal was to become a software engineer at a global firm, to create something meaningful, to travel, to live the life I saw in movies. I worked day and night, studying code, building projects, sacrificing weekends. Finally, after years of effort, I got my chance. One morning, an email appeared in my inbox. "Congratulations, Lucas. You've been selected for an interview." I couldn't believe it. My heart raced. I imagined my new life, working abroad, earning in dollars, surrounded by brilliant people. It felt like everything I'd worked for was finally real. Then came the interview, and that's when reality hit. I still remember that day as if it happened this morning. The screen lit up. 3 native English speakers appeared on Zoom, smiling politely. They introduced themselves, and suddenly, it was as if someone pressed fast forward on their voices. Words flew at me faster than I could process. I couldn't understand. Then came the first question. "Lucas, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your experience in software development?" Inside my head, I knew exactly what I wanted to say. But when I opened my mouth, nothing made sense. I froze. I stuttered, yes, software. I do coding. Many projects. Good. Very good." Silence. The kind of silence that feels like a knife. One of them gave a polite smile. Another asked a second question. And again, I failed to answer. A few awkward minutes later, they said, "All right, Lucas. Thank you for your time." I knew what that meant. I had failed, not because I lacked skill, but because I lacked English. That day, I understood something powerful. English isn't just a language. It's a key. The key to opportunity, connection, confidence, and growth. And at that moment, I didn't have it. When the call ended, I sat there staring at my reflection on the laptop screen, angry, ashamed, frustrated. For years I'd told myself, I don't need English. I'm good enough at my job. But now, reality punched me in the face. Without English, my talent was invisible. That night, I made a decision. Not a wish, not a plan. A decision. I would learn English. Fast. Whatever it took. Why I didn't start with classes. Most people's first reaction is to buy a course. That's what I'd done before. A year earlier, I'd paid for an online English class. Vocabulary lists, grammar drills, endless exercises. After 3 months, I could fill in worksheets perfectly. But when it came to real conversation, I froze again. So I knew this time had to be different. If I wanted fast results, I needed something real, a system built on daily use, not theory. And that's how my 5-month transformation began. Before I dive into the exact method, I want to say one thing clearly. If I, someone who couldn't answer a basic question in English, could do this in 5 months, you can too. Because it's not about talent. It's about consistency, emotion, and focus. Now let's break it down, month by month, step by step, starting with the first 15 days that built the foundation for everything. The first 2 weeks were the most important of my journey, not because I learned the most words, but because I finally learned how to learn. Most beginners believe they need a bigger vocabulary. I used to think the same. If I memorize 1,000 words, I told myself, I'll speak fluently. But that's not true. I already knew hundreds of words. The problem wasn't knowledge, it was usage. So for the first 15 days, I stopped learning new words completely. Instead, I focused on mastering the ones I already knew. That single change transformed everything. Step 1. The survival sentence list. I asked myself, what do I actually need to say every day? I sat down and wrote 50 simple, useful sentences. Things I'd really say in daily life. Hi, how are you? Can you repeat that? I don't understand. I'm learning English. I need a coffee, please. Every morning, I read those 50 sentences 10 times out loud. At first, my mouth felt slow. My tongue didn't cooperate. But after a few days, the sentences started to flow naturally. By day 10, I could say them without thinking. It was like installing the basic operating system of my brain in English. Step 2. Talking to myself. Then came the practice that changed my confidence forever. I started speaking to myself in English every single day. It might sound crazy, but it worked. Whenever I was alone, cooking, showering, walking, I described everything I was doing. I'm making breakfast. The eggs smell good. I like my coffee strong. At first it felt awkward, even silly. But soon I realized this was my private classroom. No teacher, no judgment, no fear. And after 1 week, something magical happened. My brain started thinking in English. I wasn't translating anymore. I was living in the language. Step 3, 5 sentences a day. Copy like a native. Every day I picked 5 sentences from movies or podcasts. But instead of reading them passively, I copied them exactly. The speed, tone, rhythm, emotion. I repeated each 10 times until it sounded natural. Example. A movie line. I don't know what you're talking about. I'd mimic it perfectly. Same pitch, same pause, same emotion. That exercise didn't just improve my accent, it rewired my ears. I started hearing the difference between wanna and want to, between gonna and going to. By the end of the first 15 days, I could hold short conversations without freezing. My sentences were simple, but they came out automatically. That small victory changed my mindset completely. I realized fluency isn't about knowing thousands of words. It's about being able to use what you already know, fast, naturally, and confidently. That's when I knew. If I could transform this much in just 2 weeks, then the next months could change my entire life. After those first 15 days, something inside me shifted. I could finally speak small sentences without translating, but that wasn't enough. I didn't want to sound like a textbook. I wanted to have real conversations, to understand native speakers without freezing or panicking. So I built a new plan, a system that made English feel natural instead of mechanical. Step 1. The question-answer method. I realized my brain was too slow. I knew words but couldn't connect them fast enough. So I created what I now call the question-answer method, and it changed everything. Here's how it works. Ask yourself a question in English. Answer it immediately. No translation, no hesitation. Repeat with variations until it feels automatic. For example, question, what did you do today? First answer, I worked. Next, I worked on my project. Then, I worked on my project for 3 hours. Then, I worked on my project for 3 hours, then took a break and had some coffee. Each time I added more details. That forced my brain to think faster in English and stopped me from translating word by word. After a week, my thoughts began forming directly in English. Another one. Question. What did you eat for breakfast? Answer. I ate eggs. I ate eggs and toast. I ate eggs, toast, and a banana because I was hungry. I ate eggs, toast, and a banana because I was hungry and I love big breakfasts. It was like lifting weights for my speaking muscle. The more I practiced, the stronger my fluency became. Step 2. Fixing pronunciation with the echo technique. Even when I started speaking better, I still sounded too foreign. Native speakers understood me, but I wanted to sound natural. So I began using the echo technique, the simplest, most effective way to train pronunciation without a teacher. Here's how. Choose a short clip from a movie, podcast, or YouTube. Listen to one sentence. Pause. Repeat the same sentence exactly as the speaker. Same rhythm, tone, emotion. Example. I don't know what you're talking about. I repeated it 10 times until I sounded close to the original. Another. It was a beautiful day, so I decided to go for a walk. I echoed it again and again until it felt natural in my mouth. Within a month, even native speakers started saying, "Wow, your English sounds really natural." It wasn't magic. It was training my ear to copy music, not grammar. Step 3. Learning vocabulary through stories. I used to memorize lists of random words and forget them in days. So I replaced that method with the story technique. Every day, I picked 5 new words and built a short, fun story using all of them. Then I read it 10 times aloud and tried using those words during the day. Example. New words: excited, invitation, party, arrive, surprise. My story. I was excited because I got an invitation to a party. When I arrived, I got a big surprise. It was my birthday. Simple, but powerful. By month 3, I had learned over 1,000 new words, not by memorizing, but by living them inside stories. Step 4. Thinking in English. The biggest barrier wasn't vocabulary or grammar. It was the habit of translating. My brain wanted to think in Portuguese, then switch to English. That had to stop. So I created a think in English routine. I described everything around me in English. The sky is blue. The air feels warm. That man is wearing a red shirt. I asked myself questions and answered them in English. What am I doing? I'm walking to the store. I wrote a daily journal before bed, in English only. At first it was slow, but after a few weeks the words started to appear naturally. No translation, no panic, Just flow. Step 5. My 2-hour rule. I made one non-negotiable rule. Speak English for at least 2 hours every day. If I had nobody to talk to, I spoke to myself. If I was cooking, cleaning, or walking, I practiced. If I felt tired, I reminded myself, English is my future. I can't quit. That rule turned learning from a habit into a lifestyle. And once English became part of my everyday life, progress became unstoppable. After 3 months of daily practice, I could already speak and understand English much faster. But I noticed something new. Sometimes my grammar sounded strange, or I wasn't sure if my sentences were natural. So I decided to go deeper, not into boring grammar books, but into real-life English. Step 1. Learning grammar by observation. Instead of memorizing rules, I started listening like a detective. Whenever I heard a phrase that sounded different from what I learned in school, I asked myself, why do they say it like that? For example, I heard, I have been learning English for 5 months. But in school, they taught me to say, I am learning English for 5 months. That was my first big realization. Real English and school English are not the same. So I began collecting these natural patterns. I kept a small notebook with common structures like, I've been working on, I'm used to, it's been a while since. Every night I practiced building new sentences with them until they felt natural. I wasn't memorizing grammar. I was absorbing it the same way children do. Step 2. Fixing prepositions and sentence flow. One of my biggest frustrations was prepositions. Why do we say on the bus, but in the car? At night, but in the morning? So I started paying attention every time I saw or heard them in context. Whenever I felt unsure, I searched examples online or wrote them in my notebook. Slowly, these patterns started to click. It wasn't about rules anymore. It was about rhythm, and English has its own rhythm. Step 3. Writing a daily diary. To practice structure, I began writing a short journal entry every night. At first, it was simple. Today I went to work. I was tired. I ate pizza. It was good. But I wanted to sound more natural. So I started reading short English blogs and articles, noticing how native speakers connected their ideas. Then I tried to copy their style in my writing. After a few weeks, my sentences flowed better. I wasn't just writing words, I was writing thoughts in English. Step 4. The shadowing method. One day, I discovered a technique that completely transformed my pronunciation and confidence: shadowing. Here's how it works. Choose a video with a native speaker. Put on your headphones. Play the video and repeat every word immediately after the speaker. No pausing. You speak along in real time. At first, it felt impossible. But after a few days, something magical happened. My mouth started moving naturally with the English rhythm. I was no longer translating and repeating. I was feeling the language. I did this for 20 minutes every day. After 3 weeks, my speech became smoother, my accent lighter, my intonation more expressive. For the first time, I could listen and respond in real time, like a real conversation. Step 5. Watching with intention. I had always watched English movies with subtitles, but passively. Now I changed the way I watched. Every time a character spoke, I paused, repeated the line, and focused on their tone and emotion. This turned movies into my personal pronunciation school. I started imitating not just words, but attitude. And soon, people began telling me, "Lucas, your English doesn't just sound good, it sounds alive." Step 6. Confidence over perfection. By month 4, I understood something essential. Fluency isn't just language, it's courage. Many people know English but never speak because they're scared of mistakes. I used to be one of them. But I realized native speakers don't care if you make small errors. They care if you try. So I started talking to people in English whenever I could, at work, in cafes, online. Even when I was unsure, I spoke, and I noticed something amazing. People understood me. They didn't laugh, they respected my effort. That changed everything, because the moment you stop being afraid to sound wrong, that's when you start to sound right. After months of daily practice, I wasn't the same person who'd once frozen during that interview. I had changed, not just in English, but in how I saw myself. My thoughts were in English, my confidence was real, and for the first time, I felt ready to face the world again. The test of truth. One evening, I was standing in front of the mirror, the same mirror I'd practiced in for months, speaking to myself like always. But something was different this time. The words flowed easily. I wasn't hesitating or translating. English was coming out naturally, effortlessly. That's when I knew I was ready for the final test. I went online and joined an international discussion group. People from the US, the UK, India, Japan, all speaking English. My heart was racing, my hands were shaking, but I reminded myself, "Lucas, you've worked too hard to be afraid now." The host asked me to introduce myself. I opened my mouth, and the words came out clearly, confidently, calmly. I didn't just speak, I connected. People nodded, smiled, asked questions, laughed at my jokes. It wasn't just English anymore, it was communication. That was the moment I realized I had done it. I was fluent. The dream revisited. A week later, I did something I had been waiting to do for 5 months. I reapplied for my dream job. Same company, same position, completely different me. When the interview began, I felt no fear. I wasn't the nervous boy from Brazil anymore. I was the man who had trained every single day to earn his second chance. The interviewer asked, "Lucas, tell us about yourself." And this time, I smiled. I told them about my experience, my projects, my passion for technology, fluently, naturally, proudly. Every word carried months of discipline and belief. I wasn't just speaking English, I was owning it. A few days later, my phone rang. "Lucas, congratulations, you got the job." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. $5,000 a month, my dream company, the same one that once rejected me, now they wanted me. I called my parents immediately. "Mom, Dad, I did it." My mother cried on the phone. My father, a man who rarely shows emotion, said only one thing: "We always knew you could." That sentence meant more than the job itself. With my first salary, I bought my father a watch he'd always wanted but never bought for himself. For my mother, a gold necklace, to thank her for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. When I gave them the gifts, they refused at first. "You don't have to, son," they said, but I insisted. "You gave me everything. Let me give something back." That moment, seeing their smiles, their pride, made every hour of struggle worth it. Key lessons from my journey. After achieving fluency, I realized something bigger than language. This wasn't just about English. It was about discipline, belief, and consistency. Let me share the 7 most important lessons that changed my life. 1. Mindset is everything. For years, I believed English was too hard for me. Once I stopped saying I can't and started saying I'm improving, everything changed. If you believe you can't, you'll prove yourself right. But if you believe you can, your brain finds a way. 2. Surround yourself with English. I made English a part of my environment. I changed my phone's language, watched YouTube only in English, followed English-speaking creators, listened to English music, podcasts, everything. I fed my brain with the language until it became my world. 3. Speak without fear. Mistakes are not failures, they're progress. Native speakers don't laugh at your errors, they admire your effort. The faster you make mistakes, the faster you learn. So speak, even if your voice shakes. 4. Listen. Actively and shadow listening is half of speaking. I trained my ears by shadowing, repeating what I heard immediately after native speakers. It improved my pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence more than any class ever could. 5. Learn words in context. Forget about memorizing long lists. Instead, learn through phrases, stories, and experiences. When you connect words to meaning, emotion, and context, you never forget them. 6. Grammar. Comes from usage, not rules. Don't bury yourself in grammar books. Learn naturally through real examples. When you make a mistake, notice it, correct it, and move on. Fluency is built by doing, not memorizing. 7. Consistency over perfection. Perfection kills progress. Even on bad days, I practiced 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever I could. Small actions every day created unstoppable momentum. Consistency is what turns effort into transformation. The bigger picture. When I look back now, I realize something. I didn't just learn English. I rebuilt my life. Every morning I doubted myself, but I showed up anyway, and that made all the difference. You don't need expensive courses. You don't need to move abroad. You just need discipline, emotion, and time. Imagine yourself 6 months from now, speaking confidently, opening new doors, feeling proud every single day. It's not a dream. It's possible. If I, a 27-year-old from Brazil who once froze during an interview, could do it, you can too. Final message. Your turn. I know you might be tired. You've probably tried before and failed. You might think it's too late or too hard, but listen to me. The only real failure is giving up. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It will never come. Start today. Speak today. Listen today. Make mistakes. Learn. Grow. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. So choose growth. Choose persistence. Choose yourself. Because one day, your future self will thank you for the choice you made today. If this story inspired you, like this video, share it, and subscribe. Because this isn't just about learning English. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. Let's do this. Together.